Instruction, golf news, equipment, travel, interviews, course profiles, and more. Your weekly fix of all things golf is about to begin. It's the Flagstick Podcast with your hosts, Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod. Well, welcome into the Flagstick Podcast, everyone. I'm Jeff Botter. This is Scott McLeod with me as always, and the Flagstick Podcast is presented by TaylorMade Golf. What if a golf ball you're playing isn't the number one ball for you? Meet the all-new TP5 and TP5X from TaylorMade. Whether you prefer the softest 5-layer tour ball in TP5 or the fastest, now that a half a club longer in TP5X, you'll be playing a golf ball that performs the was built for you. Available in white, yellow, and picks. You can also personalize it with my symbol. No matter what you choose, every TP5 and TP5X is designed to help your game. Head to tailormadegolf.ca to find the number one ball for you. I'm sure that you're already all doing this, but can we please get you to follow us across all social media networks, Instagram, X, TikTok, and Facebook, and please subscribe to us on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. We really encourage you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell, and make sure you never miss a single episode. The unique content has been added and will continue to be added. So I'm sure everybody's already checking out the Flagstick Academy. By the numbers that I'm seeing there, I know people are. So keep doing that.
Yeah, we appreciate it. That's for sure.
We do indeed. All right. Well, let's. We're going to get you caught up on the front nine this week on all things news golf related. Lots of stuff happening every week, so we're going to get you caught up. And on the back nine, we're going to have a little discussion. Discussion about what makes a golf course interesting to us. Neat little topic. We'll explain why we're choosing that topic once we get to the back nine.
Yeah.
So let's get to the front nine. Presented by Metcalf Golf Club. Natural setting, a pleasant challenge. Golf season is here. So don't wait. Get on wait lists for memberships and leagues. Purchase some game passes to start the season and save compared to regular green fees. Visit metcalfgolf.com to shop for those now. Front nine.
Typing away here. I forgot a little couple of notes in here.
I'm just adjusting my mic because I want to make sure that
your sound is good.
I'm heard. I want to make sure that I'm heard.
And seen?
I don't like.
I can barely see the top of your head there.
Hang on a second.
Where'd you go? There you are.
There. Okay. I call it like the in-flight movie. The in-podcast camera adjustment situation. Well, I adjusted the mic and I just moved closer to the camera, which then cuts off my head. And there's a lot of things. It's like a chain reaction, right? Once you do one thing, it affects the next thing. It affects the next thing. Well, I made one adjustment and that screwed up that, so I had to adjust that, and that screwed up that, so I had to adjust that. I just hope to God that my audio works this morning, so we don't have to redo everything that we do.
No, it's okay. We'll get through it. So
anyway, okay, front nine. Right off the top, flagstick.com shootout is coming up very quickly. Yes. I got to be honest with you. Registration is a little bit lower than I expected it would be at this point. I don't know if there's a lot of people out there that are concerned that this is an elite field tournament, as we had sort of alluded to last year with the application process. It's not. It is a wide open tournament for anybody that wants to register. We do encourage good players to register as well.
Yeah.
But it is call it a 2-flight tournament right now. The Flagstick Open was an ABCD flight tournament. And this, because it's a limited field, we just decided to do kind of call it an AB or an ABCD, whatever it ends up being, with the numbers that we get. So the field will be divided according to the numbers that we get. So it's wide open.
It's a gross score event.
Of course.
It's not net or anything like that. So people are concerned that all of a sudden there's only 2 flights and that, they're going to be way different than the other person. I mean, here's the thing. It's playing a great golf course on a weekend, 2 rounds, great registration package. Look at it as a weekend away to play some golf and to have a good time. If you're not looking at it as saying, I don't feel I'm competitive, or, smugglers, it's a little tough for me or whatever, don't look at it that way. Look at it as
Yeah.
a chance to work on your competitive skills. I had a couple of people reach out this week, and they wondered, oh, my son is a junior and he's only 16. Can he play? Yes, you can play. So you're more
Absolutely.
than welcome. So
The course
yes.
will be set up fair. It's not
Mhm.
like we're going to take one step off the back tee block and
No,
put everybody out there. That's not how this is.
no,
That's
we
not
want
how
people
this
to enjoy
works. Like,
themselves. Yeah,
oh,
we want
absolutely. Like,
we want a good score to win for sure, and then obviously the best player will win. But we want players to enjoy themselves, be it the shootout on Saturday night, or just enjoying themselves during that weekend. As we know, getting that swag that they're going to get as soon as they arrive, they're
wow.
getting their money's worth as it is. So you're already ahead before you tee it up, and if you're planning to play golf on July 13th, 14th weekend, you're probably going to spend more than you are in this tournament, and nobody is going to be on the first tee at whatever golf course handing you a polo and a number of other items, golf balls and a belt, and so yeah, look at it that way, as an opportunity to play a good weekend of golf for a great price.
Well, that's it. That's it exactly. So yeah, you have to kind of look at it that way. And look, yes, it's a Smuggler's Glen. Yes, it'd be great to make a whole weekend out of it. Come down either with your family or with your buddies, rent a room, stay on site. Make a whole fun weekend getaway. But if you don't want to do that, the tee times start at 11:30 on Saturday
Yeah,
and 12
you can
o'clock on
drive.
Sunday.
Yeah,
You can easily drive back and forth each day and still sleep in each morning. Like
yeah, if you're
this is
coming from
not,
Ottawa or
yeah.
Kingston or Belleville or wherever you're coming
Absolutely,
from.
from
Yeah,
any of those locations. So I mean,
sure.
it's a great to and from tournament as well. So don't get scared away by how far away it is. It's not that
Mm-hmm.
far away. Don't get scared away by the fact that you have to get a room. You don't have to. We encourage it because it can be a lot of fun,
Yeah,
but it's not necessary and it's not
right.
required.
Yeah.
So anyway,
Yeah,
we'll leave it at that.
you're not gonna have 7 a.m. tea times that you're gonna have to wake up and
Nope.
at 2 o'clock in the morning to get there for.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. Okay. Recap flagstick.com PGA Tour of Ottawa, Summer Open at Canada.
Yeah,
Another great event. Weather dodged some really
did they
nasty
ever?
stuff that was coming and going, and
Yep.
turned out awesome. Gord Percy wins the main category.
Yeah, one
Uh,
under par.
I'll tell you something about Gord.
Well,
The guy never seems to
Gord
be.
can
Does he
play in the
ever
senior
play?
division.
He plays.
No,
He plays like there's no way that Gord plays that much golf with the responsibilities that he has.
or
There's
had.
or
He's
had
now.
right.
He's
He's now
now. Yeah,
passed. Okay.
yeah.
But the responsibilities, like Gord doesn't play golf every day. He doesn't practice every
No,
day. He's not working
not
on his
one bit.
game every day. And he goes out and shoots one under at Canada, which is not an easy track to do that at as it is.
No, judging by the scores and the scoring average, it was an exceptional round on that day for sure.
So good for Gord and Graham Gunn, no surprise, wins the senior.
Yeah, and I'll mention what we alluded to as far as Gord. Gord just finished a 2-year term as the president of the PGA of Canada, on top of doing his job as the GM at Smith Falls Golf and Country Club. So he's effectively had 2 full-time jobs, and one that required a lot of travel as well around the country and around North America and the world. So you're right, he does not play, does not practice. So for him to come out and do that's great.
So,
and he could, and as I said, he could have played in the senior division, but he didn't. He chose
exactly.
to play.
So congratulations, Gord Percy. Congratulations, Graham Gunn. Great job, guys. When's the next flagstick.com Players Tour, PGA of Ottawa Players Tour events?
It is going to be the championship, which is 14th, 15th of July.
Okay.
At Cornwall.
Awesome.
Yep.
And of course, the Ping Challenge Cup this year is at the aforementioned Smuggler's Glen.
It is, yes. So
that's
looking forward to that.
Okay. So just I'm looking at notes.
You didn't read the notes, did you?
I did. I look at a busy guy. I glanced through the notes. I didn't really. This one I kind of missed the first part of it. So
yeah,
the unusual.
Yeah.
PGA Tour Americas ATV Classic in Alberta announced it will be a 17-hole event.
Yeah, so technically, 17 holes per day. They're using a 17. So basically, it's a 68-hole event. So unfortunately, the Northern Bear Golf Club had some harsh winter conditions, and I mean they had snow there like I think like 6 weeks ago. So their 10th green is not really usable due to poor conditions. So yeah, so the scoring will be exceptionally low this week, or at least it will look that.
Okay, I'm confused.
What?
I don't. Wouldn't it be better? What is the 10th green? What is the 10th hole?
It's par five.
Okay. Wouldn't it be better to just
They're
tightly
gonna
mow a green in the fairway like a temp? Well, no. Wait a minute. Don't shake your head. Don't shake your head.
Here's
A
what they're
temp
going
green
to.
versus a 17-hole tournament.
They'll mark it on the card as a par for everybody on that particular hole, but they're only playing 17 holes. A 10 green is like there's too much randomness. You can't make it
I don't
good
know.
enough
Nowadays, with the way that they can cut, I would think that they'd be able to cut and double roll a green in a fairway and get it better than most golf courses greens.
they've already got really harsh conditions there as it is.
All
Like
right.
they had some issues with water and stuff like that. So yes,
it is unusual.
It is unusual. So yeah, so if people are watching, that's the second event of the North American swing for the tour. They will see that they're not playing the 10th hole. So
all right, giddy up then.
You got it.
All right. Well, we got 6 Canadians in the U.S. Senior Open field this week, 2 amateurs and 4 pros.
Yep.
And yeah, that's pretty exciting stuff. Stephen Ames and Mike Weir, probably the most notable. David Moreland, too. And Dan Keogh, Craig Watkins are the 2 amateurs.
Yeah, and I got a little story to go with that.
Okay. And the 4 pros. The 4 pros are Carl Pelletier and Dave Moreland, Stephen Ames, and Mike Weir.
Yeah. So Danny, who I know quite well, I've played a bit of golf with him over the years. DK, I was texting with him yesterday. So Dan, if people are not familiar, he's been involved with a number of different companies over the years in the golf business. He's now he has a company now called the Westport Company, and they're distributors in Canada for like Donald Ross. He's the managing director and one of the owners for Belding golf bags. Long time, he was a good player, played on the Canadian tour. When Mike Weir got onto the PGA tour, he was his first caddy. So they're buddies, they're longtime buddies, both lefties. So the goal, I guess, this week is for Dan to try to beat Mike, I guess. But the funnier part was talking to Dan. He wasn't expected to. He was an alternate when he went through the qualifying. Wasn't sure he was going to get in. Was told that he was going to get in. Had some conflicting family things that would have prevented it. That got changed, so that allowed him to be able to play. And this is at Newport Country Club, which, he's a guy who he's a member of the RNA. He's a member of a lot of different golf clubs. He loves just golf courses. He's a golf geek. So he was able to get into the tournament. The only problem is he was in England. So leading into this, so the night before last, he got back from England at 10 o'clock at night, was on a flight yesterday morning to Boston to get in to play his practice round, and he hadn't touched a golf club in 12 days. So, but knowing him, he will play perfectly fine. I've played with him at a winter park down in Florida, where he all of a sudden would go out and win the skins game and make like 6 birdies in 9 holes. So this and make him from everywhere. So he's a super talented guy, super nice guy, and it'll be fun to follow. Craig Watkins as well, the other amateur, is the guy who shot 65 to get in, and it's a cool thing for those guys. But yeah, obviously Stephen Ames is winning the Charles Schwab Cup right now, and Weir played well last week as well, so should be interesting to watch.
Very cool. Very cool. All right. Fun stuff. Additionally, 2 Canadians are in the Open final qualifying next week. Yeah. Aaron Cockerell and Ethan Hurst. Both pros, completely opposite ends of the spectrum here. Cockerell is currently 29th in the DP World Tour's race to Dubai. And Hurst is working as an assistant pro.
Yeah.
My God. I just love, I love.
That's the great part about these open tournaments.
Oh my God.
Right?
This is great. And so we're talking about in an open final qualifying.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry, I go back. He's working as assistant professional, and he's currently competing on the Arnold Clark PGA of Scotland and the Tartan Pro Tour. So this is like the this is like the mini tour of the mini tour of the mini tours,
Yeah.
and
Exactly.
like this is it's such a cool story. You talk
He,
about chasing the dream.
mm-hmm.
You're working you're a Canadian. You're working as an assistant pro at a
In
golf course
Scotland.
in Scotland. You're
Yeah.
competing on a couple of mini tours in Scotland
Yep.
and in in Europe, and you're trying to qualify for the Open Championship, and like this is
It's cool. He
it's
could be playing a Royal Troon.
yeah, like it
Yeah.
really is, and that's the thing you got to like about the U.S. Open and the Open Championship
Mm-hmm.
is the fact that it is 100% open, wide
Yeah.
open, as the name says. It's wide
Yeah.
open. It's not closed off to like the PGA Championship is very much the closed
Sure.
door situation. The Masters is extremely closed
Right.
to get in, and then you've got championships like the US Open, the Open Championship, the Canadian Open, where there's
Mm-hmm.
all this wide open qualifying. And as long as you meet certain criteria, I mean, there is
Right.
some
Yeah, of
criteria
course.
to it. You're
Yeah.
not a 40 handicap going and
No.
trying to qualify. But as long as you meet some certain criteria to try to qualify, you can go through the various stages of qualifying and potentially get your spot alongside,
Yeah.
some of the greatest
Best players
golfers in the world
Yeah.
and have a shot at winning a US Open,
Yeah, the
like
USC Open
Francis
or
we
the
met.
Open Championship. Yeah, I mean that's the great part of it. It's as they say in poker, it's a chip in a chair, right? So it's the exact same thing here. He's a guy. I followed him a little bit. I know who Ethan Hurst is just because he was playing in Q School. He played in Q School for Europe in the fall. But again, same thing, Canadian born, but happens to work in Scotland, lives in Dundee, right around the corner from St. Andrews, and who knows, he could realistically propel himself onto the world stage, uh, you know, after this qualifying. He could do something, he may not win, but he could certainly set up a career or win enough money or put himself into prominence. I mean, it's just the opportunity, and it's totally based on merit.
Yep.
Which is the greatest part of all.
Exactly. All right.
Yeah. So awesome. Good luck to Aaron and Ethan in that final qualifying.
Brooke Henderson and Alena Sharp named to represent Canada at the Paris Olympics, 14th and 292nd in the world. They are. It's the third Olympics that they'll be competing in as a team.
Yeah.
And Sharp just recently had a bronze medal at the Pan Am Games last year in Chile. So
yeah,
already some success on the world stage for Alena Sharp. Great to see that. Was kind of hoping that maybe someone like Modami or slipped in and got an opportunity to go. Given the work that she's put in and
sure,
whatnot, but her time will come. Another 4 years, maybe she'll be there.
Yeah, that's the thing. These two have represented Canada in 2016, 2020, which became 2021, and now 2024. And obviously, they earned it with their positions. It's going to be up to everyone else to get past them, just like it was on the men's side, where obviously Corey did the work to get past Adam to get that spot to join Nick Taylor on the men's side of things.
I know we got about a few minutes here before. What do you think? I mean, this is off topic. What do you think about the way that players qualify for something like the Olympics? Do you feel that the way that, now I know the easy answer is, well, it's the easiest way to do it is ranking system, because that's but given the fact that the ranking system is something that spans over a 2-year period to get to this point, like it does for a Ryder Cup or it does for a President's Cup, do you really feel like, and I'm not saying that I don't want anybody to get here. I'm not saying that Brooke and Alena aren't the two best Canadian women. I'm not saying that Corey and
no, we're talking about the system.
I'm just talking about the system as a whole, because more so on the U.S. side of things, I'll say, because there's no way that the team that they're taking over should be the best 4 guys that the U.S. can take to that tournament. So Do you think that there needs to be something done to the system? If they're going to take professional golfers into the Olympics every 4 years, do they need to change the criteria to make it so that the best four guys and the best four girls from each country, or best two
Well, it's
girls and
two.
some,
Yeah.
are selected to go? Because I don't feel that that's the case across the board. Even some other countries, I don't believe that the best
Yeah.
players from
I
each
mean,
country are going,
I
and that
mean,
hurts the Olympics to me.
yeah, systems always need to be tweaked for sure. I mean, they always need to be looked at. They need to be reviewed. I mean, they're done for Hall of Fames and stuff like that. They go back and review it all the time. So, is the system perfect right now? No, it's never going to be perfect. The issue always with a lot of them is that they have to have it based on some sort of open criteria versus how it would have been back in the day, or for some events or whatever, where it becomes very subjective. And that's the difficult part. And we see that for choosing players like, national teams and stuff like that. It has to be some sort of criteria that's set out in advance. So yes, could it be tweaked? Yeah. Is it their fault that somebody chose to go play in a part of a system that wasn't part of the system that leads in the Olympics?
But
No, it's
why?
not their
But
fault
okay,
either.
but
So
here's my
yeah.
argument there. Why should that system have anything to do with it? And I'm not a live supporter by any stretch of the imagination, but if you did the world rankings based on only this calendar year to this point,
Yeah.
Bryson would be the guy going, not
Sure,
Wyndham Clark.
but
But that's
that's
current. Like you want your
right.
you like I just finished watching the
No,
U.S.
no, no.
Olympic trials,
And
and
I
they
get it.
it doesn't matter what guy
Yeah.
ran the 100-meter dash last year. He
Yeah.
ran it in the trials
Yeah.
this weekend,
Oh yeah,
and
no, I
those
get
four
that.
guys are
Yeah.
going. So why
Yeah.
can't you do your world rankings, your Olympic criteria based on the world rankings within the calendar year of the
Because
Olympics?
so the reason why they had the 2 years, because they wanted to show the strength over a longer period of time, but they also put extra strength there, and that was adjusted over the years to put extra emphasis. So there's more points for more recent stuff than there are for the past. They don't count quite as much. And there's also bonuses in there for wins. If you look at within the men's ranking, they get bonuses for repeat wins and so forth. There's extra bonuses to emphasize hot play that's in there. Could it be changed more? Yes, but unfortunately, again, it can't be perfect, that's for sure. And do you want them to go to something where they end up with captain's picks? I don't think we need
No,
to
I
do
don't. I
that.
don't think so. I just think that if they made the selection solely based on the
On the
year of the
current year.
Olympics,
Yeah,
only the
I
current
see
year,
what
or
you're saying.
even have
Yeah.
a qualifying tournament, I
Yeah,
like
the I think
like
the
the
issue with the issue with the Olympics though is that it's held in the middle of the year. So they would have to go back, not the calendar year. They would have to go on the previous 365 days as far as the prep. There's so many other things that deal with the Olympics as far as prep. I mean, there's a reason why they have to pick out the team now. We're talking about this in June, and this is not happening until August because there's so many other things that have to go into the players qualifying,
oh,
testing,
absolutely.
uniform stuff, all the extra
But
things.
they
So,
do that with other sports too. They
oh
do
yeah,
that
no,
with
I get that.
the U.S. like the basketball teams and things like that. They're not. They have their camps a year out, but
Yeah,
ultimately the team is selected based on
but
the current year, not
yeah,
based
but
on what happened last year.
the problem with basketball though is it's subjective. It's not. There's no written criteria of this, and this. So it's a totally different thing. Where they're different than golf. That's why they end up in the situations they do, where all of a sudden players say, "Oh," or people say that player should be selected over that player. Versus a lot of other sports are doing it strictly on standards. Somebody ran 13-2-1 and the other person ran 13-2. Well, the 13-2 is in rather than going, we
No,
like that
and
guy
that's
or we
fine.
don't
I
like
mean,
the guy.
track and
So
field,
yeah.
though they've got it figured out. They have an Olympic trials. That's how
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
their teams are selected, and I think that's the fair way of doing it. You earn
Yeah.
your spot based on that.
Yeah.
But when it comes to things like golf
Mm-hmm.
and other sports where it's less, it's your selections are made based on what you're trying to
Yeah.
accomplish. So
Your
with
regular stuff.
basketball or
Yeah.
hockey, you're trying to build a team.
Mm-hmm.
So just because one guy has a really good season doesn't necessarily mean he's going to make the team
No.
because he's not, that doesn't make it.
Yeah.
It's a team thing. Golf is an individual thing. Tennis is an individual thing.
Mm-hmm.
These players should be selected on the basis of how they're playing leading, the year that the Olympics, like there's no way that you can pick the best four golfers or the best two golfers based on something they did 24 months ago. Like it's impossible. Like there's
No,
some consistency. Like Scotty Scheffler, Xander Schauffele,
mhm.
you know, okay, Colin Morikawa, okay, consistency over the last 2 years, even through this year, how well they've played this year. Are they the best 3 or 4 players playing the
Mm,
year of the Olympics? Three
mhm,
of the 4, yes.
mhm.
One of the 4, not even close.
Yeah, I think there's
So
arguments. There's arguments on both sides because really, again, do you want to reward somebody that's played well in 2 events, or do you want to reward somebody who's played well over a longer period of time? I mean, the period between the Olympics is 4 years.
I don't know, but
So
I want the person. I don't want the person that played really well for 3 years and has sucked the year of the Olympics going to the
no,
Olympics.
I'm not. Yeah,
Like that's
no,
the and
and I, yeah,
that's the issue that I have is that I want the person who's played the most consistently over the and in that vein, maybe there should be a more of a selection process as opposed to a points process. That
yeah,
it's based on, you look at the world rankings, or you look at their, Olympic points achieved the year of the, like, if you're going to do this Olympics thing, you got to have an Olympic selection criteria. You can't have a world ranking system to do this. Anyway,
well, that,
we
yeah,
could go back and forth on this. I just, one of those things that popped into my head just because I know there's been a lot of talk about Bryson not making the team. And, again, I'm not a live supporter. I like Bryson DeChambeau. I think what happened at the U.S. Open and the way he connected with the public is exactly what that tournament is. It's great. I mean, Phil Mickelson used
sure,
to
that's
do it.
great,
I think it's awesome.
but
But is he the 4th best player right now? Maybe.
yeah,
But there's no, again, there's just so subjective of how you choose this. I just wanted to get sort of a conversation going about.
yep, it's
Okay,
fair enough.
we got to get out. When we come back, we're going to talk about what makes a golf course interesting. You're listening to Flagstick Podcast with Jeff Botter and Scott McLeod.
Why play the all-new TaylorMade TP5 and 5X? Because your ball should be longer, like half a club longer. Your ball should be more consistent from the fairway. Your ball should feel softer for better control around the greens. But most of all, your ball should perform like it was built just for you. Play the #1 ball for you, the all-new TP5 and 5X, only from TaylorMade.
All right, well, welcome back to the Flagstick Podcast with Jeff Potter and Scott McLeod. Just want to pull something in from we didn't get to on the front nine,
Sure.
just regarding the Play Junior Golf Tour.
Yes.
They had, just because this is worth mentioning, because the Play Junior Golf Tour, which obviously we are very much involved in, they play all season long. It's the race to the flagstick.com Cup. We're very excited to be a part of that. But they had the second sellout on the St. Lawrence Junior Invitation that was held this past weekend at Amherst View Golf Club. Now, the St. Lawrence Junior Tour has been going on for quite a while, like many years. Play Junior Golf Tour it's now part of the Play Junior Golf Tour and has been for a while as well. But they had the second sellout of an event,
so
which
two
is
two events of the year, and they're both sellouts. So
beautiful. That's great.
Which is great.
Really awesome. That just goes to show that people are really kind of gravitating to or understanding what these junior tours are all about, and giving the kids an opportunity to get that sort of tournament experience that they need to have the confidence to play bigger stuff. Because tournament golf and regular golf, not the same thing. Even at the junior level. So there's winners in 11 categories. So we have them all posted on flagstick.com, but they're also available obviously at the Play Junior Golf Tour website. But go to flagstick.com, you'll see all the results.
Got it all.
Five players made
their tournament debut. They never played a tournament before. So awesome. And again, just as you mentioned, I think people are beginning to understand and realize that, just because your junior is playing tournament golf and you want them to play in provincial events and so forth, they can't necessarily just jump there right away.
Oh my gosh. Can you imagine?
It happens all the time. So
you wonder, and then they wonder why they shoot every day. They go to their home club and they're shooting 72s and 69s and 75s. And then they go play a provincial event and shoot 90.
Yeah.
Well, it's not because the courses, it's not just because the courses might be tougher. It's number one, it's a different golf course than what they're used to playing. Number two, they have to play the ball down for the most part. They have to play it down in the rough. They have to play it down in the fairway. There's rules to follow. It's a different mental stressor to play in tournaments than it is, especially when you get to playing at the provincial level or even at the regional level. If you're going, to an OVJ event, even that's a different level of pressure than the Play Junior Golf Tour. So
the best players, and if any parents are listening, the best players dominate at their local level first, learn how to win there, learn how that experience works. Then they're prepared to go up there. Don't automatically go over these, regional tours. And there's a number here in Ontario in the junior golf pathway. Play these events. These are important. And whether they're playing provincial level tournaments or not, come back and play in these events as well. I mean, they supplement what you're doing. They shouldn't be beneath the players, and players shouldn't feel that they're beneath them. These are opportunities to win. If you go back and look at a Scotty Scheffler, for an example, and you go back and look at his record playing the North Texas PGA events where he won, 55, 60 events. He was playing those even when he was playing USGA events. He was going back and learning to compete and dominate and be comfortable and get the feeling of going low and making birdies and putting yourself in all the situations that you're going to later on and learning it at that level. Too important. So
there's a process to this. And I think
Very
that
much.
I don't think that a lot of parents understand that the process, because I do, people know that I'm heavily involved in hockey as well as golf, but and I go through this same sort of scenario where parents are so much in a hurry to get their kids to play AAA hockey.
Right.
Got to play AAA, got to play AAA, got to play AAA. Not going to get noticed, not going to get drafted if you don't play AAA. So freaking what?
Yeah.
Like, honest to God, your kid needs to learn how to be good
first
before they can go to that next level. If your kid is not a dominant player at the lower level, so Rep B or AA when it comes to hockey, and then you just make a AAA team because you make it.
It could turn into a very bad experience.
It could be a terrible experience. You could go from not being very dominant to playing on a AAA team just because you're better than the worst.
Yep.
And you get no experience. And you think, oh, he's playing AAA, he's getting all that coaching. It's like, what difference? Sure. You think the coaching at AAA is better than the coaching at AA just because there's an extra A? It's got nothing to do with it. Good coaches, yes, there's great coaches at AAA, but there's also some
great
crappy
coaches
ones.
everywhere. Yeah,
and you want to sit on the bench and do nothing just so you can wear a jacket and have an extra letter.
Yeah.
Play lower levels, play lower level tournaments, get the experience.
Yeah, we see it right now in the on the golf side of it, with the transfer portal. I'm seeing a whole bunch of kids that made choices to go to schools that were a little bit too big for them, playing wise, and didn't get to play and had poor experiences, which obviously affected their academic experience and everything. And, now they're in the transfer portal, looking for other schools to go to because they just didn't get what they thought they would. So
go and play golf or tennis or hockey where you're going to get the opportunity to play. And to learn and to develop and to learn how to win. That's what you do. Okay. Flagstick Academy golf tips. Flagstick Academy, not economy. Flagstick Academy golf tips, sponsored by Castleview Golf and Country Club. Back again this week on all our digital platforms. Tremendous early reaction to what we're doing here. We're so excited about this because we didn't really know. We knew people like golf instruction, but you don't really know how things are going to turn out, when you shoot and put these tips up there. But thanks to all the viewers and subscribers of our YouTube channel and our social media networks that have been, checking those tips out. This week, tip on how to improve your driver strike. Driver strike. And like, there's going to be another new one next week and another new one the next week and another new one. Keep them coming every Wednesday. Every Tuesday for anybody that gets subscribes to Ontario Golf Digest. We release them on Tuesdays, but Wednesdays, if you're Flagstick Digest or flagstick.com, we release them on Tuesday. So check those tips out. Okay. Let's get into our back nine. Scotty Mack, a back nine presented this weekend by Falcon Ridge Golf Club with 27 holes of fun and challenging golf at great rates. Falcon Ridge Golf Club is a golfing experience you cannot avoid and an experience that has gotten even better. By building the first TrackMan range facility in Eastern Ontario, TrackMan Range is all about exciting, easy-to-use features that provide the ultimate range experience for every golfer at every level. That's practice, games, and virtual golf. To book tee times or to book one of our 10 TrackMan Range bays, visit falconridgegolf.ca. Okay.
You got it.
Our back nine topic, the big question, what makes a golf course interesting? Now, why are we doing this? Well, Scott recently played.
Shall I explain?
Yeah, why don't you explain?
Okay.
I know, why don't you explain why we're picking this topic?
So on Tuesday,
while I drink my coffee.
Sure, you do that. We had our Golf Journalists Association of Canada has an annual golf day. And this year we were fortunate to have it hosted at the Brantford Golf and Country Club, which people are not familiar is the fourth oldest golf club in North America. Dates back to 1879. Only Royal Quebec, Royal Montreal, and Toronto Golf Club are older. They just completed a multi-million-dollar renovation. Now that doesn't play into this as far as being interesting or so forth, because it wasn't just about the dollars that made it interesting. A lot of their dollars had to go with upgrading their, irrigation and stuff like that. But in playing the golf course, this golf course is very revered by a lot of players, and we were fortunate that PGA Tour. Longtime PGA Tour member David Hearn, who lives on the property, grew up there, came out and had a chat with us that in the morning, did a little Q&A, and we talked about a lot about what made the golf course appeal to him and what he sort of loved about it. And it's a lot of this reflected a lot of the same things that I liked about it. It's not a 7,000 yard monster. It's not hosting a Canadian Open or anything anytime soon, but it will host a lot of top level amateur events. Elena Sharp is also a member there. So you've got two top players that have been Olympians, top players as well. And they talk a lot about how interesting the golf course is. And again, that has a lot of value when you start to talk about golf courses. And I was playing with one of their members, David Pugh, who is on a bunch of the renovation committees and so forth. And he talked a lot about every single hole. He pointed out lots of features. I was very fortunate to have him along and pointing out all sorts of different features. And I found myself really enjoying this golf course. It wasn't a case of let's stand up here and play another 500-yard par four and have to just bash the ball and hit another long iron in. And there was so much that was there, and we'll get into what we like and what makes a golf course interesting. But that was really what prompted it more than anything, was starting to think about golf courses differently. Too many people just think of things like rankings and what championships has it held, and it's like when they go to the UK, they want to play the open road at golf courses. Well, and they may fit this criteria, but don't look at it that way. The appeal to the golf course is much different if you're looking at a golf course and what you get out of it. And I think the interesting aspect is something that's totally underrated. And I'd love to see a rating that said, what's your most interesting golf courses? And again, that's a personal thing.
Very subjective, right?
Yeah. And it can never be something that's a list. What's the most interesting golf courses? Because it is very personal. But my question is kind of from that is that, I want to ask people or get their feedback on what makes a golf course interesting to them, because that is what provides the value and really the feedback of what they see and what appeals to them that makes a difference. So why don't we start
great
there?
It'd be great, Scott, if we need to do this sometime. If we were live and we had that sort of side
live chat.
Yeah. If you do that live chat thing going alongside, so we could see what people were, people are listening and they're commenting on, and we can read those comments directly into it. That'd be so cool to do that. Sure. I know it's harder to do, but we can do it.
Yeah, we could do a YouTube. Yeah, we do a YouTube live sometime on that one, or Instagram. We can do both. So
because this is exactly the kind of content that the kind of topic that kind of we get the feedback afterwards, and then we can bring it back up. But it's kind of nice when you maybe get it as it's happening. So yeah, it's a great topic, and it's a great question. It's not rhetorical, but it's kind of like it's so many different responses can come
right.
from that based on
Yeah.
a personal preference of an individual. I mean,
so it reminds me of a Bradford Wilson who has a podcast, Group Golf Therapy, and he's somebody I've traveled with, and people might be familiar with him from an influencer standpoint and seeing out there and doing all sorts of different things. But one of the questions that he asked, and we were sitting at dinner, and he asked this question, which I hadn't listened to their podcast yet, which I have subsequently, was he asked people what's their favorite golf smell. Now, there's obviously the traditional ones that people will always think of,
fresh
the smell
cut
of
grass.
Right, exactly. That's the default one, anything. But really what it does, it prompts people to think more than anything. And this is the exact same thing when we're talking about what makes a golf course interesting. It gets people to start to think a little bit deeper about their experience.
Mhm.
Because again, it can be so many different things. And as you said, it's so subjective, but
Very.
it prompts a lot of conversation. It also prompts you to listen to other people and go, oh, okay, because we all have our own perspectives.
Mhm.
But I think it's better if sometimes we get out of our own box and we sit back and listen to see what other people think.
Yeah.
So that's what I'm going to do right now, and I'm going to ask you, what makes a golf course interesting to you?
So the biggest thing for me when it comes to a golf course that I like is, well, there's a couple things. There's a bunch of things. God, see what you've
It's a
done.
deep topic.
Number one, I like a golf course that uses the natural terrain and the natural elements of the property in its design. So just to explain what I mean by that, I think you know what I
Sure.
mean by that, but for those that might not know what I mean by that, when you build a golf course, you got a piece of property, and that piece of property has nuances to the property, whether it's slopes in the terrain, whether it's creeks that run through it, whether it's stands of bushes or trees or whatever the case may be. I like a design that basically routes itself through and uses the natural slopes of the terrain for the slopes in the fairway, and that it's not all just a whole bunch of earth moved around and pushed up here and
So
there.
it fits the land rather than
And
the
it
golf
looks
course being fit on the land.
yes, it
Yeah.
looks natural
Okay.
because if you got boatloads of money, you can take any piece of
Oh,
property and
sure.
push
Yeah.
the dirt around and make it look
Yeah.
however you want. But you can tell a lot of golf courses. You can tell a golf course like Hamilton Country Club. When you look at that property, you can tell that a lot of that golf course was constructed just on what the heck was there.
Yeah, and I think a
And
lot of
you're
that
going to have to move some dirt around here and
yeah,
there, and to grow the grass in spots that you want it,
sure.
and drainage and things like that. But
Yeah. And I
um,
think we saw that with more of the older golf courses because they,
yes,
before they had modern earth moving equipment, and you're doing with a
yeah,
horse and
you couldn't
buggy,
just move
right,
hundreds of
exactly.
thousands of tons of dirt all over the place to make
Right.
it go the way you want it to go. So that's
Yeah.
one of the things that really, so yeah, I'm very much a fan of older golf courses.
Mm-hmm.
However, I have seen many modern golf courses that do use the property that is presented to them when they design the golf course.
Right.
So that's one of the big things for me. Another big thing for me is not having is variety. So
Mm-hmm.
not having every par 3 and every par 4 and every par 5 the same length. The worst thing that the thing that I hate more, even if there's elevation changes and design changes to a par 3, the thing I hate the most is going to a golf course and playing 4 par 3s and they're all 150, 160 yards. Like you couldn't have, made it a little longer, or a little, like I like a golf course. I like a golf course with a par 3 that has a really short par 3. I like a little 100-yarder, 110-yarder, that has a lot of bunkering
Tobacco
around it.
Road. Remember that one that was
oh my
106
gosh,
yards, and but
and
it
you
can be
see that a
devilish.
lot. A lot of golf courses have little short par 3s. I love the little short par 3. I don't like going, oh well, from the back tees, every par 3 is 200 yards. Why?
Yeah.
Why does it have to be 200 yards? Why can't it be 150? Why,
Right.
So that's another thing that I like. Now, the exception to that rule for me is if you have a lot of par 4s that are all in the 410, 415, 390 range, I'm okay with that as long as there's some variety to those holes. So not every hole is a driver. Not every hole is straight away.
Yeah.
Not every hole calls for the same shot off the tee or the same shot into the green.
Well, you don't want 10 dog leg lefts?
No.
I've seen a few of those.
More than a few of those. More than a few of those. I like, you split the fairway. You have a cross bunker going across. It
Right.
kind of says,
Yeah.
oh, wait a minute. I can't hit a driver here. I got to hit a 3-wood, which then changes the angle of the approach shot that you'd have. Some variety there. Par fives, well, I just don't want every par five to be reachable in 2, play at 510 yards, and
Yeah.
like it's just I like a par five. I like a good
Do
550.
you find if you play those golf courses that where the whole lengths are the same or they're that same, you just sort of forget the golf course
Oh
afterwards?
yeah, you totally just forget the golf course. Like
Yeah.
there's nothing more exciting, Scott, for me than you go to a golf course, you get to the tee and you go, wow, I like this hole, and then you get to the next tee and you go, wow, this hole is really cool too, and you get to the next tee and go, wow, this is a different hole, and wow, this is a great looking hole. If I go to a golf course and I get to the first tee and go, wow, this is a great looking golf hole, and you play the hole and you get to the next tee and go, huh,
Yeah.
kind of the
Yeah.
same tee shot,
Yeah.
and then you get to the next hole and you're like, huh,
I think that was the one thing
am I playing number one again? Like,
yeah, the one thing that stood out to me for Brantford, and I hadn't played Brantford before, which seemed to be a bit of a crime because so many people had known this golf course, and obviously they're 5 years away here from their 150th anniversary. But you're not always down that part of Ontario. But I think the greatest part in the compliment to the redesign and the work that they've done there is just the fact that when I got done and I was driving home, I could remember every single hole, every
yeah,
single hole.
yeah,
It wasn't, it wasn't, there wasn't anything where I went, oh, okay. And then where did it go? Oh, and I think that was the neat part. And it really fit in exactly what I like about a golf course, and the fact that it really promoted creativity.
yeah.
They had
Oh yeah,
they've left a lot of options. The work that they did there, really, Rod Whitman and Keith Cutton and Dave Axland, that was their partners. That's the group that did the redesign. And obviously, they've been involved with a lot of great projects, Cabot and so forth. But you could see like they moved bunkers to all of a sudden create options so that you could, hit the ball along the ground. There was some unique mounding in different areas that, you'd have to go back and play it, and you could play it 30 times. And I found myself dropping balls here and there and going, okay, let's try a putter over here. Or we were throwing balls. We were literally standing on the back of greens throwing balls. There was Dan Port was with us, who's the head pro. And even he was like throwing balls different places to get golf balls to funnel down to different areas.
Yeah.
And it'll change because obviously the conditions as it firms up, or as it grows in more and gets tighter, things are there. But I just found that there was like a short par 4 where all of a sudden it was like, oh, I could hit driver or I could hit 4-iron, depends where it wants to go, but I could hit it on a certain part of the fairway. It would funnel down there. It would change the shot the way I play it. Do I want to play this approach and land it short of the green and then bump it up? Or do I want to take it off the, off a backstop off the back and spin it to come back? So every time I got in a situation, even if I was in trouble, like there was a hole where, I was down in a bunker and I literally was looking at 4 different places that I could play the shot to get the ball near the hole or around the hole. And what I find is those are really a big separator in golfers. So if you're playing competitive golf or you're playing a match, and that was the other thing, I found this would be an amazing match play golf course. And that was a sentiment that everybody said afterwards, like, stroke play, it's going to be tough, and you're going to make some high numbers, but it would be great for a match because the person that sort of figured that out, that puzzle, and I called it that later, it was just like playing a big puzzle. You would get rewarded for hitting a really cool shot.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of times somebody could hit a shot at some golf courses that is a really pedestrian shot and they get it close. And the person who hit a really high quality shot to get it close to the hole, they end up in the same spot and they end up not kind of rewarded. And the other person did it by accident. If a person hit a poor shot and they did something by accident, they wouldn't get away with it at Brantford. Yeah. There was just a lot of places that would all of a sudden just punish you as far as bouncing a ball off into water or sides or different slopes. And, and again, that creativity lend itself as well onto the putting surfaces where, it didn't have these big old steps and stuff in there, but it had some old rumpled moundings. It looked, as you said, laid out over the land.
Yeah.
that was there, even though it wasn't 100% natural as far as those slopes and things that were
It doesn't
created.
matter if it is or it isn't. It's just a matter of the perception of whether it is or it isn't.
Certainly, yeah, they certainly fit the land around it because there's a good bit of elevation. So, again, figuring it out on the greens, it really rewarded the player who could really read a green well, and they could put themselves in a good position. And if you didn't, it could be an absolute disaster. And some people will say, oh, that's gimmicky or whatever, but you know what, if you hit a poor shot, you should get a poor result. You shouldn't hit a poor shot and get a good result. That shouldn't, while some people that may be their definition of fun, right? And it could be, and that's fine. But I think this made it more interesting because of it. And I found myself, paying attention a lot more on every single hole, because I was like, oh, okay, what's coming next?
Yeah. And there's a lot of golf courses that in this region. I mean, we're in Eastern Ontario. We've played all over the globe.
Yeah.
But in this region alone, there are golf courses. There are golf courses that you would think that are high-end golf courses that you would think would jump to the top of my list as far as, but they're not where you think they are. There are golf courses in this region that are boring. And they're good golf courses, and their conditions are great.
And that's everywhere. So
exactly. And again, that's a preference thing. That's not just because I say X golf course is boring to me, and that I wouldn't waste my time driving somewhere to play it. To someone else, they may go, what are you talking about? That golf course is amazing. Well, not to me, it isn't.
But you wonder why they consider it amazing. And we played, and again, you said golf courses around the world, and I look at ones we've played specifically, on golf trips based on reputation, because maybe people desire to play at that golf course, and for some reason, it's looked at as a status symbol that you've played that golf course. But then you go play it and you're like going, that wasn't really that fun or anything, or it's built up with a lot of things. And from a business standpoint, good on them. They've done a good job with marketing it, and they've created a desire for people to play there. But it doesn't necessarily mean they're going to go back there and play again for particular players, because as you said, some other players could find that hits the spot for them. But there's a number of golf courses, and we played more than our fair share of TPC courses around the US. And I'm not referring to TPC courses in Canada, because there's three, and they're great.
Osprey is freaking amazing. So I would go back there. I am going to go back there this summer. Definitely 100%. We have got to go back there. I want to play there. But that said, there are some TPC courses that just seem to have the TPC label, because they're not good golf courses. They're not by my standards anyway. I mean,
they're boring.
And I'm not talking about conditioning. The conditioning of these golf courses is fantastic. It's amazing conditioning.
But again, it doesn't.
That's not why I play a golf course. I've played some golf courses that are pretty crappy that I like as far as conditioning goes. I played some golf courses that most people would probably go, I actually paid money to play here, and I'm sitting there going, I don't think I played enough to play here.
That's like Winter Park. I go back to that golf course and talk about this 9-holer, in just north of Orlando, and everybody goes and plays it, and at first they're like, 2,500 yards or whatever the case may be, and then they go down there and they're like, man, this is fun. Like, this is a fun golf course. And I think that's the appeal that gets lost when people judge a golf course by its rating, by its length, by its price, by its name, by its status, all sorts of different things. They, in a lot of cases, and again, that might have value to them. So I'm not saying that's wrong, but I'm just saying you shouldn't dismiss it just because of any factor at all.
No, until
you've actually played it and been out on that golf course and seen it. And I think, anytime you get done on those golf courses and you said, man, that was really cool and memorable, and every golf hole. And as you said, you get to the tee and you're like, wow, look at this. Wow, look at this. Wow, look at this.
It's the wow factor that it gets in your head. It's just, elevation does that too. Elevation is something that I love on a golf course. If a golf course has a ton of elevation changes and movements to the property like that, that can make up for a lot of stuff. And elevation also generally does fall in line with the idea that the golf holes are not going to be all the same. Because the elevation doesn't always come in the same spot on every hole. So you're kind of in that, you can't just have an elevated tee on every hole, because it doesn't, think of the laws of terrain movement. That doesn't work. You can't have an elevated tee on every hole. Logically, it's a little bit weird.
Yeah, I think the only one that ever did was which is closed now, was Elk Ridge in northern Michigan when we played it.
Yes,
where they had whatever 15,000 acres, and they basically just stuck a golf course on it.
Oh yeah, you had to drive for a mile between holes, but you'd always have an elevated.
But that's how you get an elevated tee shot. Yeah,
unfortunately,
it doesn't exist anymore. But
I know we only got a few minutes here, but we're talking about golf courses and things like that. I mean, Harmony Creek.
Oh yeah,
drive
by it all the time.
I could, we used to go by there all the time. On our trips up to Whitby and stuff like that for Golf Ontario stuff and delivering magazines or whatever when we did that all up there. Yep. But we used to, the sticks in the car were stop at Harmony Creek and play there. My son Brandon and I played there after a tournament, a hockey tournament one year, early in the spring or late in the fall or something like that. That little par 3 that's such an awesome par 3.
I love those.
And some people would look at me after they go and play it because, say I played it, they went and played it. Say, oh, what are you talking about? That thing's a dog track. It's like, what? Yeah. Whatever. I mean, exactly. So it's a dog track. I don't really care. I liked it. I just recently played the 9-hole Raceview course at Falcon Ridge a couple weeks ago. I look at it. Is the conditioning of the golf course, the same on the same level as Equinel or Camelot or Hunt Club? No, of course not. Because if it was, you're going to be paying $150, $200, $250 to play it. Yeah. It's what it is, and I'm okay with just general conditioning. The condition didn't suck. It was great. The greens were puttable. The tees were hittable. The fairways were fine. Like, everything's fine. But I just love to play that because there's a perfect example of golf courses that are just kind of put. Yeah. In a space where they just are. And okay, we're going to put this here and put the green down here, and that's going to create that. And this is going to big hill there. We're going to go over that hill. Like, that's the kind of stuff I like. And
so here's my interesting challenge to golfers out there, especially ones that are members of a golf course.
The challenge is being placed.
Or play a golf course on a regular basis. Consider, and I've played some tournaments this way, consider doing we'll call it, for lack of universal references, because every golf course is the same, but let's say it's blue, white, yellow are your tees. Consider going around where you go blue, white, yellow. You don't play off the back tee on every single hole, and you mix it up and play it. You're going to start to see your golf course in a slightly different way.
Absolutely.
You see it how another player sees it. You're going to hit different shots off the tees. As opposed to just going, I played 100 rounds this year off the white tees.
Ooh.
Like that could just, that might be fun to you or whatever. But what I'm saying is, if you want to make something a little bit more interesting and you're not traveling, and you want to just do it on your own golf course. Just play some other tees. Often I'll wander up. I played 9 on last Sunday night with my daughter. I played the first tee off the blue. I played the next one off the yellow. I went up to where she was in the red on one hole, and it creates a different look, different clubs in your bag, different angles, different approaches are different. Clubs are coming in on different trajectories. So
there's no rule.
Play it different. There's
no rule. There's no rule that says, yes, you can't take the score from that and put it into the computer as part of your handicap. It's not a tournament, so nobody cares. You're just playing a casual round of golf. Just go and have fun. I remember back in the day when I was living in Kingston, my brother Sean and I, we used to go down to Bell Park Fairways on a crappy rainy day where nobody was out playing, and we would just make holes up.
Cross country.
We played cross country golf. We would play, because it was a fairly wide open golf course as it was, so you could do that. But we would go up to the second tee, and we would play the 9th hole as a par 5 from the second tee, or a long par 4, because because it was there. It was behind the 9th tee. Or you would play, the 3rd hole, which is a par 3. You played as a short par 3 from the 4th tee, that little elevated bump they had there, because we just did it all the time. It just who cares? I mean, the golf course didn't care. Now, if the golf
No.
course had cared, you're not going to be able to do that at every golf course.
No.
But it was
sure.
usually a rainy, crappy day, and nobody was on the golf course. So you just did it.
But what the example is there, what it's doing is it's making the golf course interesting. It's really what it is, and making it slightly different. So, again, there's just a lot of different things and a lot of nuances that go in it. And, I'm more appreciative, I think, as we get older and we look at golf courses and we see them more and we see them differently, be it walking or forward tees or limited number of clubs or whatever the case may be. You know what, just get away from the convention of it has to be this, and consider how you're enjoying it and why you play the game.
Yeah.
If you play the game because you want it to be fun and enjoyable and interesting, go and do that. There's not much point of going and, being frustrated and going home after 6 hours and go, stupid game or whatever the case may be. If that's the case, I mean, you're going to say it anyways, but if that's the case, then you may want to reconsider kind of what the golf experience is providing for you.
Yes.
Right. And to get more out of it. So kudos to Brantford. Great job on the renovation. Yeah. I appreciate what they've done there. Thanks for Keith Cutton as well, coming out and doing a little bit of a Q&A. And it was great to see him. I hadn't seen him since Algonquin when they did the work down there, and had a chat with him. But I think it'd be very interesting as well to hear people give us our feedback on what you think what makes a golf course interesting to you.
There you go. We want to hear from you. All right. Great show as always, Mr. McLeod.
Thank you.
But we're gonna cut it. We're gonna cut it there. Thank you very much to all our sponsors this week: Metcalf Golf Club, Falcon Ridge Golf Club, and our presenting sponsor this week, TaylorMade Golf. What if the golf ball you're playing isn't the number one ball for you? Meet the all-new TP5 and TP5X from TaylorMade. Whether you prefer the softest 5-layer ball in the TP5 or the fastest that's now a half club longer in the TP5X, you'll be playing a golf ball that performs like it was built just for you. Available in white, yellow, and picks, or personalize it with my symbol. No matter which you choose, every TP5 and TP5X is designed to help your game. Head to TaylorMadeGolf.ca to find the golf ball that is number one for you. Well, we do hope that you're enjoying hearing and watching us. Be sure to follow us across all social media networks, as always, Instagram, X, Facebook, and subscribe on Spotify, Audible, Amazon Music, and Apple Podcasts. Don't forget, hit that YouTube channel, people. Hit that YouTube channel, like us, and click the notification bell. Make sure that you don't miss anything. I'm no longer going to say don't miss a single episode, because
there's more than that.
There's way more going on there. Check out the Flagstick Academy. Learn something about your golf game that can help you improve. Get over to flagstick.com for more amazing golf content delivered every single day. And make sure you subscribe to the Flagstick Digest newsletter. You don't want to miss anything. Well, be sure that you don't by subscribing to the newsletter, and we'll send that to your inbox 3 times a week. But as always, we do appreciate you tuning in. But until next week, I am Jeff Botter.
I'm Scott McLeod.
Remember, always go for the stick.